The morning light streamed through the thin curtains, spilling warmth across the wooden floor. She stood first, her head still resting on his arm. For a long, quiet moment, she just watched him, his lips parted in sleep, the steady rise and fall of his chest. It was the best part of her every morning. The next moment, she thought to tease him. She trailed her index finger along his jaw, feel the light, then wandered down to the hollow of his throat. His brow twitched, his lips parted slightly, as if even in his dreams he could feel her teasing him. So serious, even in sleep, she whispered, tracing his collarbone next. How do you ever survive me, boss? She leaned closer, brushing a kiss, a whisper of a touch at the corner of his mouth. And in a heartbeat, his arms tightened around her waist, drawing her in until a soft gasp escaped against his chest. Already starting trouble, he murmured, eyes still closed but a smile tugging at his lips. She chuckled, voice low and sweet. Just reminding you I'm awake in case you have forgotten me, your favorite distraction. His eyes opened then, slow, lazy, full of warmth that made her heartbeat stumble. Forget. You, he murmured, brushing a thumb along her cheek. I spend every morning thanking the universe I get to wake up beside you. She rolled her eyes, but the smile that broke across her face. Smooth talker. He grinned, pressing his forehead against hers. Only for you, wifey. The old caretaker had left his favorite breakfast at the doorstep, a steaming bowl of rice porridge and a pot of kimchi stew that perfumed the chilly morning air. She carried the tray inside, her fingers brushing the warmth through the wood. He was still half asleep, his hair still a mess, and his voice rough with sleep. She settled cross-legged on the floor, the steam curling around her face as she took her first bite. The taste was sharp and tangy, fire and comfort all at once, and her lips curved in surprise. Delicious, she murmured, eyes fluttering shut for a second too long. So, this is what you have been hiding from me. He felt happy as she appreciated the food. Maintaining a calm tone, he uttered, It's just breakfast, not a state secret. Before he could reach for his own portion of food, she scooped a bit of kimchi, still glistening with the broth, and held it up to his lips. Then try it, she said softly, her voice full of excitement. He blinked, clearly thrown off guard. Not very diplomatic, Mrs. Officer, he said, though the corner of his mouth twitched upward, leaning forward, accepting the bite. He watched him chew, slowly, suspiciously, her brain growing wider with every second. What's the verdict, Mr. Grumpy? Too spicy for your delicate taste buds? He swallowed, eyes narrowing in mock warning. You are playing with fire. He chewed slowly, gaze never leaving hers. I have heard better, he said at last, though the faintest hint of a smile betrayed him. Liar, she shot back, laughing under her breath. You liked it. He shrugged, reaching for the bowl at last. Maybe I just like the company? Her hand froze for a moment. Then she smiled, eyes dropping to her bowl. Careful, she murmured, voice barely above a whisper. That almost sounded like a compliment. Maybe it was, wifey, he said. Later, they wandered hand in hand down the quiet beach. She kept tugging at his shirt sleeve, running ahead and circling back, her laughter carrying over the waves. At one point, she scooped a handful of water and flicked at him. He raised a brow, droplets glistening against his cheeks. Dangerous game. She stuck her tongue out. Can't catch me. He didn't chase. Instead, he waited until she ran into his arms herself, breathless, laughing, only for him to pin her waist gently behind her back, lips finding hers in a that silenced her mischief. Party, he whispered. That evening, she teased him even more, brushing past deliberately when he was changing clothes, leaning over him with a mischievous sparkle in her eyes, whispering promises she didn't intend to keep. Finally, he sighed. Enough is enough. He pulled her onto the bed, hovering over her with a slow smile. You love pushing me, don't you? Her laughter was soft, playful. Isn't it my right as your wife? She had been laughing just an hour ago, but the chair was sleeping. Her body was sending quiet signals. Fatigue that felt heavier than it should. A strange ache she couldn't place. A wave of nausea that came and went. Yet the thought of what it might be never crossed her mind. She only frowned, puzzled by how suddenly her energy had drained away. His tone was soft as he saw her like that. Maybe you were just tired. It was a long day. She wanted to believe that. She watched the blur of lights outside, the passing trucks. The ache in her lower back deepened, but she forced another smile. Maybe you were right, she whispered. He turned the heater down a notch, opened the window slightly so cool air could brush her face. Try to rest, he murmured. I have got you. She closed her eyes, leaning toward the window, the sound of the engine lulling her. His voice came again after a while, quiet, thoughtful. Next time, we stay a night longer. No rushing back. Her lips curved faintly. Deal, she murmured, already drifting. He glanced at her again a few minutes later. She was asleep, her head tilted towards him, the lines of fatigue softening into peace. Whatever had unsettled her, he told himself, he would take care of it once they were home. The highway stretched ahead, calm and dark. As he drove on, one hand steady on the wheel, the other occasionally brushing against hers, a silent promise in the space between them. That morning he left the apartment with her. As she walked out the door, there was something subtly different about her. The usual spark in her movements, the lightness that always followed her, seemed to fade. By the lunch hour, it became impossible to ignore. Her plate was untouched, save for two half-hearted spoonfuls of rice. Normally, she would fill the cafeteria with chatter, teasing someone into laughter, tossing a playful remark across the table, or sneaking a glance at her very personal security officer just to watch that barely visible twitch at the corner of his jaw. But today, she was silent. It wasn't the peaceful kind of quiet. It was the kind that made everyone uneasy. Finally, one of the senior officers spoke, his tone gentle but firm. Ma'am, you don't look well today. You have barely eaten. Should we inform the physician? Another colleague nodded quickly. Ma'am, embassy schedules are demanding. You must take care of yourself first. Even one of the younger security officers, hesitant but honest, chimed in nervously. Usually you tease sir a little by now, but today you have been so quiet. It doesn't feel normal. That single line pulled everyone's eyes toward her. She blinked, cheeks warming, not from health but embarrassment. Teasing him had somehow become a recognizable rhythm of the day. She forced and a weak smile escaped. Waving her hand, she tried to deny. Don't make it sound like I harass him daily. I'm fine, really. The man she was supposed to tease the most. He stood silent at the corner of the room, his sharp gaze betraying nothing but a storm brewing beneath. The room was filled with quiet unease. She tried to assure everyone with a weak smile, but the silence of her security officer at the corner was heavier than the concern of her colleagues. His eyes were fixed on her, sharp, unreadable, yet burning with something she couldn't dismiss. Finally, he moved, tall, composed, the perfect embodiment of discipline. He stepped forward, his voice cutting through the air, low but commanding. She isn't fine. Every gaze turned toward him. She blinked at him, startled, about to protest, but he didn't let her. From today, I will personally monitor her meals during embassy hours. His tone wasn't asking, it was an order. Then, softening ever so slightly, his eyes locked on her trembling hands on the untouched plate. This isn't optional. A senior officer nodded firmly, supporting him. I have already mailed the medical wing. A full checkup has been scheduled tomorrow morning. Her spoon clattered against the plate. She froze. Checkup? Her voice cracked. The senior officer smiled. Yes, ma'am, but don't worry, it's just routine. Sir recommended the Hive Medical Unit. You will be in the best hands. But her blood ran cold. She gulped hard, her throat drying at just the thought of the white aprons, the antiseptic smell, needles piercing skin. She pressed her lips together, trying not to show the panic rising inside. Her husband's gaze flickered. He noticed. He caught the fear in her eyes, the way she gripped the fabric of her outfit under the table, fingers curling tight, the way she avoided even saying the word needle. She didn't dare tease him then because this time she had found her weakness. She had pushed through the day. Every step of her duty had done with precision. But anyone with eyes could see her energy dipping. He saw it first, Then the others joined, the senior officer, even the Korean colleagues, even the Indian delegates. By the time lunch was over, the whispers had grown into certainty. Everyone now knew the truth. The strong SDT officer was not just her god, he was her husband. It spread quickly like an open secret, but before all of that, her health came first. That afternoon, the embassy's senior officer handed her a full medical checkup schedule. The instant the word hospital was mentioned, the color drained from her face. She fumbled for excuse. I don't need it, I'm fine, really. The SDT officer was already watching her, sharp eyes narrowing. You are not fine, weak bodies react, and you are not strong enough to fight it yet. She pouted, whispering, I just don't like hospital. The smell, the needles. Her words tumbled out like a guilty child's confession. He sighed, lowering his head, then lifting it with a softness that melted her defenses. You think I will leave you alone? I will be there every second, even if you cry, even if you squeeze my hand till it hurts, he assured her. She blinked up at him, stunned. He had scolded her in front of everyone, but now in private, he was all warmth. His hand brushed her cheeks, then tilted her chin up. No more skipping, no more running. I won't let you avoid this time. Her lips parted in protest, but before a word escaped, his mouth found hers, firm, commanding, yet unbearably gentle, that silenced every excuse, every painful touch. When he pulled back, his voice was low, teasing in its own way. You can play with me in every other way, but not with your health. That's my rule. He sighed dramatically, trying to tease again. So strict, boss. His smile deepened, dangerous and soft, all at once. Strict, yes, but only because I plan on keeping you for a very, very long time. The appointment was set for early morning. She tried everything, burying herself deeper into the blanket, pretending to sleep heavier than usual, even deliberately twisting the alarm to snooze. Her plan was simple. If she woke up late, the hospital slot would be missed, and the whole ordeal cancelled. But her body betrayed her. She wasn't just pretending to be weak, she actually was. The dull ache in her lower back had been growing since dawn. A gnawing cramp pulled at her abdomen, her muscles heavy, her stomach unsettled. She shifted restlessly, her lips pale. Even the thought of food made her nauseous. When he leaned down to wake her, his brows knit instantly. You are cold? His tone was sharp, suspicious. Her lashes fluttered open and she whispered weakly, I don't want to go, let's skip today. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he studied her face. Part of him believed she was exaggerating, playing sick, just to escape the dreaded checkup. But another part, the part that noticed the faint tremor in her hand, the way she curled inward protectively around her stomach, that part hesitated. Are you making excuse again? He asked, his voice low, testing her. Her lips quivered into a small pout. If it's about hospitals, yes, but not this. She pressed her palm over her abdomen, her breath unsteady. It hurts. My back, my stomach feels like someone is twisting it Even my chest is sore. He stilled. The pieces clicked. Premenstrual. For a moment he felt foolish. How could he, of all people, missed it? Her cycle was due. Of course, her body would rebel. Cramps, nausea, fatigue, the weakness written all over her. His expression softened, but he masked it under a strict sigh. You should have told me. He was embarrassed. She whispered, cheeks heating. And I thought you'd just drag me anyway. He leaned closer, brushing back strand of her hair damp from restless night. His hand pressed to her forehead, then cheek, then lower, tracing down her jaw. Embarrassed? With me? His voice dipped, velvet and stern at once. You forgot who you belong to. Her heart skipped a beat as his fingers slipped lower, resting lightly on the hand she kept pressed against her abdomen. He curled his warm palm over hers, applying steady grounding pressure. Here? Is this where it hurts? She nodded, eyes closing at the relief of his warmth. His thumb moved in slow circles over her lower stomach, soothing, coaxing. You still need a checkup, he murmured. But not today, not when you were like this. Her eyes opened in surprise. You will cancel it. He corrected firmly. Don't think you have escaped. But his touch betrayed the strictness. He shifted her gently onto his lap, cradling her as if she was breakable. One arm circled her waist, pressing her against his steady chest, while his other hand continued to massage slow, comforting circles across her abdomen and lower back. He buried her face in his shirt, inhaling the faint scent of him that always grounded her more than medicine. You are too strict, she whispered, voice fragile. His lips brushed her temple, then lower, grazing her ear. Strict? Yes, but only because I want to take care of you, even in this, especially in this. His trailed down to her cheek, then the corner of her lips. A promise, not a demand, soft, sensual, steady like he was trying to away her discomfort. Obviously, she melted, sighing against him. The pain was still there, but dulled under his warmth. He was firm, unyielding, yet the way he held her, soothing her body, silencing her fears, was more tender than she had ever imagined possible. And as her cramps throbbed faintly beneath his palm, she realized, even in her weakest moments, she wasn't alone. He wouldn't allow it. She shifted uncomfortably in his arms, a faint wince crossing her face when his chest pressed too firmly against hers. He caught it instantly, his eyes narrowed, sharp but concerned. What is it now? He asked, voice steady. Her cheeks flushed as she bit her lips. It's nothing. He tilted her chin up, forcing her eyes to meet his. With me, it is never nothing. Tell me. Her lashes fluttered. She hesitated, then whispered, embarrassed. It's tender here. Her hands brushed lightly over her chest, then fell away. as if ashamed to admit it. His gaze darkened, not with impatience but with a quiet intensity. He remembered the theoretical descriptions, how it changes, reacts before cycle, the sensitivity, the heaviness which she had tried to hide. But inside him was something new, something almost shy. He had never done with this before, never cared for a woman like this. He had grown up with his grandmother in Busan, then moved to Seoul, dedicating his life to his trainee life. Women, their fragility, their quiet battles, he had only observed from afar, never touched, never handled, and now she was his first, his only, and every little thing she showed him was a lesson. Without a word, he cupped her face in one hand, his thumb stroking her cheeks soothingly, while his other hand shifted lower, hovering with restraint before gently resting at the curve of her neck. He was careful, deliberate, his touch feather-light. She gasped softly, half in surprise, half in relief. It aches here too, doesn't it? He murmured, his tone low, intimate, velvet against her ear. She nodded, yes. His thumb brushed the fabric, circling with the same patience he had shown her abdomen. He wasn't rough, wasn't hurried. He was tracing comfort, easing the soreness with gentle, coaxing pressure. Every stroke carried not just awareness of her pain but a quiet reverence for the body that belonged to him. You hide too much from me, he whispered, pressing his lips against her temple, then drilling down the side of her neck. If you ache here, I want to know. I want to care for you. Her breath hitched, her fingers curling into his shirt. She felt vulnerable, exposed yet utterly safe under his touch, his palm molded protectively over her, messaging in slow, comforting motions that dulled the throbbing ache, while his lips traced warmth across her skin. For him, it was clumsy and uncertain at first, but guided by her reactions, her tiny whimpers and sighs, he learned. Each movement was new, but every second deepened his awe. He didn't know the female body could be this fragile, this demanding, and yet so intoxicating to tend to. Her eyes fluttered shut, a soft whimper escaping as she leaned into him. You are too much, she whispered, but her trembling voice carried no protest. He smirked faintly, his lips brushing the shell of her ear. No, I am exactly what you need. And with that he continued, firm but delicate, strict but endlessly gentle, until her breaths softened, her pain eased, and her world narrowed to nothing but the security of his arms.